what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves men speechless. It could be model, multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all.
Welcome back to another episode of Breakthrough Conversations with Rhoda and Company, where we amplify the voices of bold women and the allies who champion them. So today, I am joined by someone I've had the pleasure of working with years ago during a major $350 million epic system rollout, Holly Pyatt. Back then, I hired her as a trainer, and she was an absolute standout. So standout that somebody stole it from me. Now she's launched her own firm, Pyatt Consulting Company, LLC, bringing over 15 years of leadership development expertise to clients across the industries. In today's episode, we'll trace her inspiring journey from corporate trainer to business owner, explore lessons in high-impact leadership, and offer encouragement to those ready to step into their next big breakthrough. Welcome, Holly.
Thank you so much for having me, Rhoda. That's so kind.
Yes. Thanks for saying yes. I'm so excited to talk to you. So let's go back. When did you first realize you had a calling for leadership development and helping others grow?
Sure. So whenever I was in college getting my degrees, I started teaching through a graduate assistantship. And I found out how much I love teaching. Had no idea at that point, but loved teaching. And so I started teaching at a college level at that point. And from there, I joined SSM Health and started working with you and moved into more of a trainer space. From there, I moved to the corporate level into organizational effectiveness, which I didn't even know that existed when I was in college. But that was the perfect combination of all of my skills of leadership development, of career development, strengths, and just helping to coach people and to help from a team effectiveness. And so at that point, it was like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm meant to do and what I absolutely love to do. And so since then, I have worked under the heading of organizational development, learning and development, organizational effectiveness, but all in all, working to help leaders, individuals, and teams be more effective, play to their strengths, and just be better within the organization.
Yes. I remember when you walked into your interview, Holly.
Really?
Yes, just a burst of sunshine. So cute. I remember when you left, I was like, she is adorable.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I remember you had on a navy blue suit.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe you remember
And I remember
that.
you being one of my very high performers too.
Well,
and
thank you.
So it's not surprising that you've had the career so far that you've had, and this is just the beginning. So you were the standout trainer during our massive epic implementation back in 2007, 2008. What did that experience teach you about leadership under pressure?
There was a lot of pressure at that point because I was leading the physician training team, and we were going from paper charts to electronic health records for the first time. That's I can't even imagine that now, but at that time, physicians weren't excited about it. And for a lot of them, they'd never even used a computer before. And there's a lot of fear in that. And they would only give us about 4 hours of training. And so to imagine learning your whole job on a piece of equipment as complex as a computer in 4 hours. And that's how you get paid. And it's as complex as medical, like everything in healthcare that has to go into it. And so going into that taught me so much about working with a hard crowd. I say I got tough skin. I can deal with pressure. Like nothing scares me being in front of a crowd at all. But I learned how to make lesson plans and deal in scenarios, even going outside of my work and taking medical terminology classes.
I remember
because I did not want to stand up in front of the crowd and mispronounce words. I wanted to have credibility. And if I mispronounced medical terms, I thought that would instantly take me out. And they were just looking for an excuse
Right.
to not listen to me anyway. So I didn't want that to be it. And the first hospital go live, if you'll remember, was rough.
It was rough.
It was absolutely rough. And then after that, to learn the concept of change management, to get physicians and hospital leaders on board at the beginning and start working together and to embed us in to, okay, what is your workflow? And let us sit with you and let us watch surgery and help you along the way instead of an us versus them, made it so much better. Instead of, okay, I have something to teach you and then it's over and I walk away. That was really, really hard. So it was a learning experience.
It was probably the hardest job I've had in my career.
Yes. Yeah. I don't doubt that at all. Yes.
Yeah. So Holly, I remember you just took me back. It was very nostalgic to listen to you go back to those days. I remember the physicians were angry that we didn't have a physician training them on Epic.
Yes.
And I was like, would you be willing to take a pay cut to come be? We don't have to be a physician to train you on how to use the technology.
Right.
You got that expertise.
Yes.
You got that covered. We have the expertise of the technology itself. So yeah, I remember having to convince them. And in the end, they saw us as partners.
Right.
And so you're right. They integrated us into their workflow. We were side by side. We provided support during go live. Yeah, it was, I called it fun stress.
Right.
Yes. It was stressful. We were building a plane while we were flying it. But yeah.
Yeah, it was trying to get them to see, I'm not trying to tell you how to be a physician, but this isn't going away. You need my help to learn this system, and I want to make you better at it, because at the end, I am going away, and you're going to be here by yourself with this computer, without a scribe, without anybody to help you. And so those physician champions that we brought on board were so critical, because they did know the workflow, and they worked so closely with us to help us and to be their go-to people.
Yeah. So you're right. You learned a lot in that experience, and it prepared you for the journey that you've been on since then. So what pivotal moments shaped your decision to eventually launch your own business?
As I have been going through my career, I have found what I love to do and what I don't really love to do. There are so many things that I love working with people. I love facilitation. I love coaching. I love the team effectiveness. That's where I shine. And in working for almost 20 years, you find out those are where I really want to spend my time. That's what makes me happy. And I am a big believer in strengths-based leadership. And if you spend your time on the things that are strengths, that helps you tenfold do better at those things. And then surround yourself with people that your opportunity areas are their strengths. You get a bigger bang for your buck.
You do.
And so for me, I want to be happy in my life, and I want other people to be happy. And I think my skills are things that could really help other people. And facilitation isn't something that everybody enjoys. Everybody's good at. And it's something that I fortunately love to do and love to be up in front of people and coaching and talking with people. So I think I can bring something to the market and really help people and teams in that way.
Yeah, this is for our listeners and viewers. This is a really good point, Holly, you just made. When I'll paraphrase what I heard you say is, being in the workforce for as long as we've been in it, you get to a point in your life and in your career where this is my jam. This is my sweet spot right here. And guess what? That ends up being your gift, and that ends up being your calling. That ends up being the passion. And if you could really keen in, and I'm talking to our listeners and our viewers, if you can keen in and pay attention to that earlier in your career, I think that you will get a bigger bang for your buck as far as fulfilling your purpose here in life. So that's great that you've identified that this is where I shine. This fills my cup and my bucket. And then you say, okay, I'm going to create my lane. I'm going to create my lane myself. I love that. So you've worked across a variety of industry. I know we met in healthcare, but since we developed a friendship over these years and we've kept in touch, and I know you worked in a variety of industries, what common leadership pitfalls or challenges do you consistently see, and how do you help leaders overcome them?
Sure. So across industries, I've worked in energy, technology, healthcare, in a variety of areas. Leaders struggle with a lot of the same things. Everybody thinks they're unique, but really they aren't.
Right.
Leaders who are dealing with people, people are people. And common challenges are conversations. That is the biggest thing that people struggle with, is having good quality conversations, good quality communication. They deal with delegation. How do I move to that next level and let go of what I used to do and function at my new level of a role? How do I deal with change? And that is getting more and more as technology changes, as our workforce changes, as there are different levels within the workforce, different ages within
Different generations,
different
AI,
generation.
all
Oh, yes,
kind of stuff.
it's coming all of the time. How do I deal with change and what that looks like? So people are people, and until you move into a people leadership role, you don't necessarily understand what you're doing until you get in that role. And so many people have that idea of, I want to be in that title. I want the next level. I want the more money. And it seems so shiny and bright until you get into that role. And then you realize, oh my gosh, I'm dealing with human beings who have their own personalities, who bring their own baggage. And sometimes that's wonderful and sometimes it's not. And some people really struggle with that transition. And that's in every industry, no matter where it is. And that first people leader jump is probably the biggest transition that someone makes over the course of their career. And that is true no matter where you are. Yes.
Yeah. So what I heard you say, conversations, courageous conversations where people, they either perceive it's going to be conflict or they just categorize all conversations as conflict.
For sure.
So then they try to avoid it and they just don't have a conversation. That's not doing anybody any justice. And then the other thing I heard you say is managing change. And to your point, when we were doing the work we were doing with the rollout of Epic, we had no clue what change management was and didn't have access or knowledge to the tools we needed to manage resistance. So that's, I heard you say that. And then the other thing was transitioning to the next level. Yeah, what got you here won't get you there. And you have to trust your team and give them the opportunity to grow and learn and do the work while you focus on your new work. Yeah, that is hard for leaders. It was hard for me when I made the transition. So how do you help them overcome those things?
Sure. So when you're developing as a leader, I think it is so important for every person to have an individual development plan. Doesn't matter who you are, what level you are at. Every person needs development. You need to know what your strengths are. You need to know what your opportunities are, and you need to be open to feedback. So having a continual cycle of feedback, surrounding yourself with people who will give you feedback, whether that's a good leader, whether that's a mentor, and then doing other things, whether that's assessments, whether that's different kinds of 360 assessments or any kind of feedback that you can get, the better, because you want to continually grow and develop. And the more kinds of learning that you can get people get stuck on, I need to take a class.
Right.
And I know I've been in learning and development, so that's my jam.
Right.
But that's only a small
It's so
percentage,
small.
small percentage of it. So much is working with others, learning and networking from others, and then on the job. How do I learn the business? How do I learn from what's going on in the world? How do I just absorb from podcasts, from articles, just from what's going on? So I am a constant learner and developer. And when I make mistakes, then I can learn from them and then I can get better all along the way. So I have those constant communications. I am a firm believer around the conversations that if we had better communication and conversations, so many things would take care of themselves. We could have better talks about budget. We could have better talks about diversity. We could have better talks about feedback. So many things. If we could get conversations right, we could do better.
Yes.
And so learning some of those core conversation skills at the very beginning will help everywhere, no matter what you're doing or what kind of conversation you're having.
Spot on, Holly. You're so on point. Something you said made me think about when people get into these leadership roles and then for some reason they think, oh, I've arrived and I don't need to continue to learn. This is so important what you said. Have your own personal development plan. Surround yourself with people who are going to give you feedback and because they care about you. And then also training. Going to a class, I'm not saying it's not important and not a positive, but it is the least effective solution to a problem. And so to your point, experiential learning on the job, growing and stretching by going out and being on a board or finding you a mentor outside of the workplace. Those are ways that you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. Yeah, so you help connect leaders to those resources and help them identify what their strengths and opportunities are to the point that you mentioned about assessments.
Yes.
Okay. So, Holly, you work with teams to help them to become high performing. What does high performance really mean to you and how do you help teams achieve that?
Sure. So I think that there is a lot of times a difference between high performing and high potential. So often we confuse those two things because high performing, sometimes we look at what somebody achieves, but we forget about how they're achieving it. And that how really matters.
Yes.
It is not only about the results that they achieve, it's about how they treat people.
Yes.
Are they leaving bodies in their wake? Are they behaving in a way that really helps people? Are they having empathy? Do they have emotional intelligence? Because the higher up you get in an organization, the more that emotional intelligence matters for you. So the how they accomplish things is just as important and more so as you move up through the organization. So a lot of times a leader, when I've worked in different positions, will come and say, I have this high performer. And when you talk to people around them, you will see they're not really high potential. They're performing at a high level, but they're not really high potential moving forward. So helping people to see what does that really mean? Having a good set of competencies where people understand what behaviors are we trying to achieve. And results are a portion of that. We have to achieve results and expectations. But it's also what kind of behaviors are we trying to achieve? How do we show up every day? How are we treating people? How are we treating our customers? What kind of mission are we driving? How are we showing up in external ways? That matters too.
It does.
Because you're trying to engage people. We're all about engagement and loyalty and keeping people, and having that internal portion is important too. So driving that, I
Yes.
think empathy and emotional intelligence are two of the most lacking skills
Yes.
that we really need to drive
Mm-hmm.
forward within leadership
Mm-hmm.
development.
Mm-hmm.
When so much of our focus is on results,
Mm-hmm.
I think if we had more emotional intelligence and empathy, the results would take care of
I agree.
themselves.
I agree. Well said, Holly. You said a lot of very important things there that highly resonated with me. When you talk about the high performer and you talk about the high potential, the one key message I want our listeners and viewers to remember is you're a whole person.
Right.
So, in a leadership role, and I've said this on prior episodes and I'll keep saying it, when you're in a leadership role, you have access to power to impact the lives of the people you lead. And if you're leading from a place of pure performance and you're all about the results and that's it, and you're not leading from a human centric standpoint, meaning you're not tapping into your empathy, you're not caring about the other people and how they feel about a situation, that is a career staller. Now, for some organizations, that's the DNA they're looking for, but you're not going to be able to keep people.
Right.
It's going to be a revolving door. And also, the other thing is, what legacy do you want to leave as a leader? Is that what you want to be remembered for? When you're gone on to another organization, your name comes up, people frown. Like, I don't want to tell me the name of that person so I don't run into them because I don't want to work with them. Is that what you want? And in my opinion, being in a leadership role comes with a great deal of responsibility. And if people aren't your passion, you probably shouldn't be leading them.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that. That's some good advice you just gave.
Thank you.
So you talk about emotional intelligence being a key skill that's needed but lacking, and then communication. Why are those so critical in today's leadership landscape, being that we're hybrid, remote,
Yes.
everywhere?
So because we are kind of everywhere, it is harder to connect. It's not impossible. It's just harder to connect.
Yes.
We don't have that necessarily human touch. And it's very easy to disconnect. So even when you're connecting from a remote standpoint, it's easy to turn your camera off. And I don't see your nonverbals. I
Right.
can't tell what you're thinking at the same time. And I might not even know that much about you. Where if we're in an office together, maybe I know about your family. I know about what you did this weekend. I know more about you. So I feel that personal connection with you.
Yes.
Versus if we're part of the same community and doing a lot of the same things, we go to lunch together. There's that personal connection where if we're separated just geographically or otherwise, it's just harder to make that connection. And so that humanity starts to falter in a way. So we have to work harder for it. And with the technology that we have available to us, it's a wonderful thing, but it's also a very big disconnector.
Yes.
There's a lot of research that says even though we can connect in so many ways, we're the loneliest we've ever been.
True.
And that's so disheartening to me, having young children as well, to see them grow up and think, oh my gosh, you can ask a question and get an instant answer and connect with anybody in the world, but it's not meaningful connections. And so the ability to really read emotions and to understand nonverbals, that's harder.
Yes.
To be able to do that in a really good way, it is really a harder thing to do. So if you're giving a presentation to say, read the room, that's harder to do in a virtual setting. If you're talking to a room and nobody's on camera, how do you read the room? Nobody's there, which I've done before. And you feel like you're just talking to yourself.
That's true.
And it's crickets. It's harder. So giving that opportunity to practice anywhere that you can, having that empathy, being one-on-one, and it's not impossible, but where you can, have those one-on-one conversations, be on camera, make those connections, be in person if you can. Not saying return to office or anything, but be in person where you can, just to build those connections and to see people and to understand from an emotional level, what do emotions mean? Because emotions are data.
Yes.
They tell you something about how a person is feeling about the situation. What are they thinking? How are they reacting? What are they thinking about this project? Or how are they feeling? What's going on with them personally? That's important information as a leader.
That is so crucial. Well said, Holly. Oh, that is so good. It was so much you said. I was like, ooh, my ears are just a wealth of knowledge. They need to hire you. They need to hire Holly Pyatt Consulting. So tell us about Pyatt Consulting and who you serve and what do you offer and what's your unique edge?
Sure. So with my new organization, my offerings are under the heading of leadership development, organizational development. My specialty is really around facilitation, around those topics of, I hate the term soft skills, but that is what most people know. So things around communication, around things like succession planning. How do we build up our career development pipeline? How do we help people from an empathy standpoint? How do we help build a leadership development program so we're helping our leaders be better? I can work with teams or individuals or up to executive levels from a coaching standpoint. I've used a wide variety of assessments. Being in the field as long as I have, certified in lots of different things. So coming in to teach a wide variety of things for teams from an organizational development standpoint, coming in and saying, hey, my team is struggling with this, and we can talk about it and say, hey, I have an assessment we can use and we can work through this. And how can I help you implement this? Because as we talked about training, I don't want to be a one and done kind of thing. I don't think that's effective. I want to work with you and your team to really make a behavior change. I want to be part of your team and understand your business and what you're doing and really help you be better and more effective. Because a one-time training, it's fun and all, but it's not going to make a really big impact. I want to be part of your team and help you be more effective.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Be with them on the journey.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's been most rewarding? I know you've recently launched, but what's been most rewarding and most surprising about this new chapter as a founder?
Sure. So most rewarding is just getting to connect with so many different people, networking, just the support that I have received, all of the kind words of people that I have worked with over the past, the support, the connections that people have helped me make. It has been surprising how many people of support have come out and said, oh, you should talk to this person, or I think we could use you there. That has been wonderful.
That's
and I look
nice.
forward to all of the different areas that I could help different businesses
That's
in so many
awesome.
ways.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you wouldn't even know that those opportunities are out there if you don't put
Right.
yourself out there. So,
Yes.
yeah, kudos to you for having the courage and the faith to launch.
Thank you.
So, what's your advice, Holly, to women who are ready to level up or even launch their own consulting work?
I think you need to focus on your strengths. Decide what is really important to you and find your why. Why is it important to you? What is driving that? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? And what can you bring to the world? Because it might not be consulting. It might be, hey, I want to teach or I want to go into this other role. I want to be a people leader. But why? Why is that really important to you? And whenever I coach people around that and coach them on their career, I tell them, don't worry about a title. Titles come and go. Titles are different at every company. Don't worry about a title. It's about what is it that drives you and what is important to you? What's your aspiration? And where do you see yourself? Is it career flexibility? Is it, I really want to mentor people? Is it, I want to learn more about this area? What really drives you? And then you find a career path
Yes.
that really focuses on
Mhm.
that area.
Yes.
Because if you try to focus too much on a
Mhm.
title,
You can miss
then you're going to miss it
Yep.
because every company is different, every title is different.
Mhm.
Focus on you and what's important to
Mhm.
you, and then base off of that. For me, my driving force has always been my family.
Yes.
My family is my driving force, my
Mhm.
husband and my children,
Mhm.
and everything else is built off of that.
Yes.
And so my career
Mhm.
is built off of
Mhm.
making my family better
Right.
and being stronger for my family.
Mhm.
They're the best around that.
Yes.
And that's always my why.
Yes. Know your why.
Yes.
Know your why. And to your point about not focusing on titles, had I focused on a title, I would not have gotten that opportunity at SSM to lead their epic training because I had just got promoted at my prior job to director. The job
Yes.
at SSM was manager. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to even focus on that. I'll work my way back up to director. I'm going to go for this because I saw the opportunity.
Yes.
You know, it was a large scale initiative. It was very public and it was hard, as we talked about.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I
Yes.
did it. So, what's one leadership lesson that has served you again and again, no matter what the role?
So we have a common
Mhm.
friend. Her name is Mary Calcaterra. And
Yes.
she is one of my favorite people in the whole wide
Mhm.
world. I've known her for an enormous amount of years.
Yes.
And she has so many good sayings from
Mhm.
leadership. She is so wise.
Mhm.
And one of them is play the ball where it lies.
Yes.
And that comes from golf, which my
Mhm.
daughter's very
Right.
involved in. But
Yes, she
that
is.
has served me over and over again
Mhm.
because sometimes you have to go into a setting and this is what it is.
Right.
You play the ball where it lies.
Mhm.
That is what it is. You're not going to change
Right.
people. You're not
Mhm.
going to change an organization or a system or a
Mhm.
culture. You have to play it where it is,
Right.
and you're going to make things more effective. You're going to take it
Yes.
from where it is and work where
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah.
So that thought has
Mhm.
carried me a
A
lot of
long way.
times and helped save me
Mhm.
from some heartache
Yes.
of I can't change the world, but I
Right.
can make things more effective from
Right.
where I am.
Yes. Play the ball where it is.
Yes.
So if someone's feeling stuck or overlooked right now, what would you say to her or him?
I would say do some self-reflection,
Mhm.
first of all, because you are bringing something special to the table. Find out what that is and focus on that. You're
Yes.
probably trying to do too much.
Mhm.
Try to focus on your strengths because, again, your strengths,
Right.
if you focus on those and try not to do everything, that will give you the biggest bang for
Yes.
your buck. So
Yes.
do some self-reflection, ask around, ask for some feedback from people, but really focus on what your strengths are and do those to the best of your ability.
Yes.
And if you start doing those things, I bet that you will see some ways that you will start to shine
Right.
in places that you didn't know.
Right. That's true. And if you're wondering, well, how do I know what my strengths are? Well, how do I know what my gifts are? It's those things that come very natural for you.
Yes.
It's the things that people seek you out for. It's often the things you take for granted
Yes.
about yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ask somebody who
Mhm.
you love, who
Mhm.
knows you and loves you.
Mhm.
You know, what are the three best things
Right.
that I do? And
Mm.
it's things you are so comfortable in, you
Mhm.
don't even know that you're
Right.
doing it because they just come naturally to
Right.
you.
Right.
So you don't even think of them as
Mhm.
strengths.
That's
But
right.
you probably do them better than anybody else does.
Right. That is so true. So how can listeners connect with you, Holly, or learn more about your services at Pyatt Consulting?
I would love for anybody to connect with me on LinkedIn. You connect on Holly Pyatt or on Pyatt Consulting Company, LLC. I have pages there. You can contact me through my email, pyattconsultingllc@gmail.com. Love for you to connect in any way that way.
Yes. Thank you, Holly.
Yes.
So much for saying yes. And I'm so proud of you to have
Thank you.
watched your career and been part of your journey and to see the growth. You're growing and glowing.
Well, thank you.
So your story is such a powerful reminder that leadership isn't about titles, just like you said. It's about courage, it's about consistency and owning your growth. So thank you for showing us what it looks like to go from being trusted by others to trusting yourself enough to launch something new. To do something you haven't done. And to our listeners, if you're looking for a seasoned, sharp, and soulful leadership consultant, get in touch with Holly. And if today's episode sparks something in you, don't ignore it. Your next breakthrough might just be one bold step away. So until next time, thank you for listening, and remember to like, follow, and subscribe.
Hey, what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves you speechless. It could be model multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all. Hey, what's your story? A kick-ass mom and 40 under 40. It's soccer practice in your high heel glory. Yeah, you do it all.